Baba Vanga's 2025 Blackout Prophecy, humanity's final warning. In the dark, truth often hides in plain sight. Ancient saying, "It won't begin with explosions or chaos, not with the marching boots of armies or the flicker of failing cities." Number. If Baba Vanga's vision is true, it will begin with an absentee and eerie stillness that blankets the world like a forgotten dream. In 2025, the blind seer of the Balkans foresaw a blackout. But not just a blackout of power, a blackout of perception, of trust, of reality itself. What did she see in the shadows of tomorrow? Was it a literal collapse of infrastructure, a spiritual warning to a humanity growing dangerously detached from wisdom? Welcome to the journey of wisdom. Today, we step into one of the most chilling and misunderstood prophecies of our time. But be mindful, this is not just a story. It is a mirror and perhaps a message. Before we journey deeper into the mystery, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your presence here is part of the awakening. And if this prophecy stirs something in you, fear, doubt, or even recognition, let us know in the comments. Number 1. Baba Vanga's 2025 Blackout Prophecy. Born in 1911 in the village of Strumikathan, part of the Ottoman Empire, now North Macedonia, Baba Vanga lived an extraordinary life marked by hardship and mystery. At the age of 12, she was blinded during a violent storm, and from that moment on, she claimed to have gained the ability to perceive the future. Her predictions were never formally written by her own hand. Instead, they were spoken quietly, often cryptically, and passed from person to person, carefully recorded by those who followed her. One of her most unsettling prophecies is said to be about the year 2025, a time when, according to her message, the world would fall into a deep and inexplicable blackout. She warned, "A great darkness will descend upon mankind. The world shall be veiled in silence, and only those who have listened to the old voices will understand its meaning." These words have stirred unease and curiosity alike, especially in today's world where uncertainty often looms just beneath the surface of our fast-paced digital lives. But what exactly was Baba Vanga pointing to with this great darkness? Was she speaking in symbolic terms, or could her words be read as a literal warning? Number 2. Possible interpretations of the blackout. 1. Technological collapse. Have you ever thought about what would happen if, one day, everything just went dark? Not just the lights in your home, but the entire digital world around you. In the mysterious prophecy often attributed to Baba Vanga, the blind mystic whose predictions have captured the attention of millions, the year 2025 is marked by what some interpret as a global technological blackout, a complete and sudden collapse of the systems we rely on every single day. Imagine waking up and discovering there's no electricity, no internet, no GPS, no access to your bank account, and no way to call or message your loved ones. The heart of our modern civilization, a digital heartbeat, suddenly stops. But rather than panicking, let's unpack this together and understand what such a prophecy might be trying to teach us. According to interpretations of Baba Vanga's prediction, 2025 could bring what some call a technological reset. Not just a technical glitch or a local outage, but a widespread failure of critical infrastructure like power grids, satellite systems, and the global internet. This isn't science fiction. Even NASA has raised concerns about increased solar activity in 2025, which could trigger powerful geomagnetic storms. These storms have the potential to knock out satellites, interfere with communication systems, and damage electrical grids worldwide. And that's just one possibility. Others believe such a collapse could stem from cyber warfarian attack, so sophisticated that it bypasses firewalls and defenses, paralyzing everything from government systems to private databases. Then there's the growing fear of rogue AI machines or software that turn against the very systems they're built to serve. Could this be the kind of danger Baba Vanga saw coming? Think about how intertwined your life is with technology. Every tap on your phone, every online purchase, every GPS route you follow, every memory stored in the cloud. What if it all vanished in an instant? Would you be able to find your way home without GPS? Could you function for even a few days without access to digital communication? These questions aren't meant to scare you, but to awaken a deeper awareness of how dependent we've become. The real essence of this prophecy might not be about doom or fear, but about warning, a chance to pause and reflect before it's too late. So, how prepared are we really? Many experts say our infrastructure is fragile. Our systems, though advanced, are vulnerable to both human error and natural forces. Yet we move forward, as if the world is invincible. Could Baba Vanga's warning be a final call to humility, reminding humanity that for all our technological greatness, we are still part of a larger, uncontrollable universe? When the power goes out for an hour, people panic. When the internet slows down, frustration sets in. But what if the outage lasted not hours, but days, weeks, or longer? Would we know how to grow our own food, purify water, or communicate without devices? Would we pull together as communities, or fall apart in confusion? These are the questions that matter most, not because they make for great headlines, but because they force us to reconnect with something deeper: self-reliance, community strength, and spiritual resilience. So maybe the prophecy isn't about an unavoidable disaster, but an invitation to rethink our relationship with technology. What do we truly need to live well? What knowledge are we losing by outsourcing everything to machines? And how do we ensure that, in the face of collapse, real or imagined, we don't lose ourselves? In the end, the core message may be this: don't wait for the lights to go out to start living consciously. Use this as a reminder to prepare wisely, but also to live more simply. Build real-life connections. Learn basic survival skills. Store important memories and information in tangible ways. Most of all, reconnect with nature, with your inner strength, and with each other. If darkness comes, let it find you calm, aware, and ready not just to survive, but to guide others back into the light. What do you think this kind of warning is really asking of you, and how will you choose to respond? 2. Mental or psychological blackout. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment where everything felt surreal, like you were awake but somehow disconnected from reality? Now, imagine if that feeling didn't just happen to you, but to millions of people all at once. This is the haunting idea behind what some call Baba Vanga's prophecy for 2025, a mental or psychological blackout on a global scale. It's not about the lights going out or satellites falling from the sky, but something deeper, quieter, and possibly even more dangerous: mass psychological event that causes widespread confusion, forgetfulness, and a collective loss of connection to what is real. Picture a world where people gradually forget who they are, what they believe in, and even what truth means. This isn't just a plot from a science fiction movie. It echoes growing concerns today about the effects of misinformation, digital overload, and emotional disconnection. Some theorists have used the term global dissociation to describe a state where humanity, slowly and subtly, drifts away from shared reality, where our sense of self is blurred by constant scrolling, polarized media, and a culture addicted to distraction. As Buddha once said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." So, what happens when the collective mind becomes lost, fragmented, or manipulated? Think about how many of us already feel overwhelmed, anxious, or numb, In a world filled with noise, how do we hear our own thoughts clearly anymore? Could this prophecy be a symbolic warning about the growing epidemic of mental disconnection we're already seeing? According to mental health studies, stress, isolation, and digital overstimulation are leading to more burnout, depression, and feelings of emptiness than ever before. When you don't know who to trust or what's real, where do you turn? Perhaps this psychological blackout isn't a sudden event, but something creeping into our lives day by day through misinformation, through endless comparison, through our growing detachment from nature, from silence, and even from ourselves. And that's why this prophecy might be more relevant than we think. Instead of fearing it, maybe it's calling us to wake up, to come back to presence. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh said, "The most precious gift we can offer anyone is our attention." But how often do we even give that to ourselves? When was the last time you truly sat with your own mind, free from distraction, and asked, "Who am I beneath all of this noise?" If this mental blackout comes to pass not in fire and chaos, but in silence and forgetfulness, what will you do to remember who you are? The lesson here may not be about predicting disaster, but preventing it by returning to mindfulness, to community, to compassion, and to clarity. When the world seems uncertain, let your inner awareness be your anchor. So I ask you, in an age where forgetting is easy, what will you choose to remember? If you've watched this far, you're already diving deep into the mystery behind Baba Vanga's 2025 Blackout Prophecy. Comment below with "Awakened Mind" to show you're ready to explore the truth behind these powerful predictions. Don't click away just yet. There's more to uncover about what this warning could mean for humanity's future. Stay until the end to see how it might affect your life and the world around you. 3. Spiritual or symbolic interpretation. What if the blackout prophecy that people attribute to Baba Vanga isn't just about a failure in technology or a mass psychological breakdown, but something deeper, something spiritual? For many, 2025 could mark a time not of destruction, but of awakening, a kind of symbolic turning point where the inner world becomes more important than the outer noise. In this interpretation, the blackout is less about losing power and more about regaining clarity, not the flicker of failing lights, but the slow flicker of consciousness reigniting after years of distraction and disconnection. Some people may find this period to be a profound spiritual rebirth, a time when they step away from the chaos of modern life and reconnect with timeless truths, with their ancestors, their breath, their food, and the rhythms of the earth. For others, this same moment could feel like a breakdown, as if their carefully constructed identities built on careers, technologies, social media, and fast-paced schedules begin to collapse without warning. And maybe, just maybe, this contrast is the point. As the Buddha once taught, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. So if the mind and spirit are cluttered with artificial ideas and distractions, then a reset, however uncomfortable, might actually be necessary. Let's look deeper. A return to pre-digital, ancestral ways may sound romantic, but it's more than nostalgia. It's a survival instinct rooted in something very real: the growing interest in gardening, homesteading, herbal medicine, and face-to-face community isn't just a trend. It's a response to a deeper spiritual hunger. People are starting to realize that despite all our innovations, we've lost something essential: real connection, self-reliance, and wisdom passed down through generations. The blackout prophecy, when seen through this lens, becomes less like a warning of doom and more like a call to reawaken what's already within us. This might mean walking more barefoot on the earth, cooking with your hands, or simply speaking to someone without looking at a screen. It's a reminder that progress isn't just moving forward, sometimes it's about going back to what matters. In the Dhammapada, it says, "Just as a solid rock is not shaken by the storm, even so the wise are not affected by praise or blame." In uncertain times, this teaching offers a powerful anchor to stay grounded in values, not headlines, in presence, not panic. Of course, some believe this spiritual reset isn't entirely organic, that it may even be deliberate, initiated by powerful forces, whether nature itself, unknown energies, or elite agendas. While such ideas often lead to fear or suspicion, perhaps the deeper question isn't who's behind the shift, but how we choose to respond to it. Because whether change comes from within or without, whether it feels planned or spontaneous, the outcome depends on our level of awareness. If we resist, numb, or cling to what no longer serves us, the shift can feel like suffering. But if we lean into it, reflect deeply, and take conscious action, it becomes transformation. Life has always moved in cycles, and this may simply be the next great turning of the wheel. So how do we prepare? Not by hoarding or hiding, but by simplifying, by centering ourselves, and by reconnecting with what's real and lasting. Take time each day to sit in silence, to observe your breath, to ask yourself what kind of world you want to help create. The blackout, if it comes, may strip away comfort, but it can also strip away illusion. And what's left might just be the truth we've all been searching for. So ask yourself, in a world where so much can be taken in an instant, what are you doing each day to protect what cannot be taken? Your peace, your wisdom, your heart? Number 3. Why it matters in 2025. Let's take a moment to consider why Baba Vanga's prophecy about a potential blackout in 2025 is resonating so deeply with people right now, especially when we realize that she's not alone. Many ancient prophecies from cultures across the globe seem to echo a similar message about this time period. The French seer Nostradamus, for instance, spoke of a time of great unraveling and upheaval in the 2020s, while the Hopi prophecies of Native American tradition describe a moment of great purification, a time when humanity must choose between the path of destruction and the path of harmony with nature and spirit. And here we are, in the middle of rapid climate shifts, political polarization, spiritual confusion, and digital overload, all while searching for something solid to hold on to. Baba Vanga's so-called blackout isn't just about losing electricity, it's about a deeper kind of darkness, one where old systems stop working, where truth becomes hard to recognize, and where only those who have cultivated clarity, compassion, and inner strength will be able to rebuild a better way of life. Doesn't it make you wonder if all these warnings, given centuries and continents apart, might be pointing to the same spiritual crossroad? Now, I know that for many of you listening right now, you may be asking, what does this really mean for my life in 2025? It's a fair question. On the surface, these predictions can sound dramatic or even frightening, but when we look deeper, they offer a profound opportunity. A pivot point in civilization doesn't always have to mean chaos and collapse. It can also mean transformation. It can mean that we are standing at the edge of a moment when society realizes it cannot continue the way it has, driven by greed, division, and endless consumption, and instead must return to balance, to cooperation, and to truth. In Buddhist teachings, there is a saying, "Only when we face the darkness can we see the light within." What if the blackout that Baba Vanga speaks of is that moment of facing the darkness together, not just outside us but within us, a moment to pause, to listen, to wake up? What if this is the universe's way of urging us to look inward, to rebuild not just our cities or our economies, but our hearts, our values, and our way of being in the world? You see, when everything external becomes uncertain, it forces us to strengthen what's internal. We begin to ask ourselves the deeper questions. What really matters? What kind of future do we want to create? How do we care for each other when the systems we depend on fail us? These are the questions that begin to move us from fear to wisdom. And so this prophecy, if we choose to see it not as a threat but as a mirror, can guide us towards something more meaningful. Just like the lotus that grows in muddy water, our greatest strength may emerge from this time of challenge. The Buddha said, 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Maybe 2025 is the year when the truth comes back into focus, not because it's handed to us, but because we choose to seek it with courage and compassion. So I leave you with this. If we are truly standing at a turning point in human history, what role will you play? Will you be one of those who holds on to the past, or one of those who helps shape a more conscious and compassionate future? Thank you for watching today's video on Baba Vanga's chilling 2025 Blackout Prophecy. Whether you believe it's a wake-up call or just a mystery of the unknown, we're grateful to have you on this journey with us. Feel free to share your thoughts. What do you think this prophecy might really mean for humanity? And if you're new here, just drop a comment saying, "I am awakening," or if you've been with us for a while, write, "I walk the path," to let us know you're part of this growing community. Your voice helps light the way forward. Now, let's keep exploring the mysteries together, shall we? Preparing the mind for 2025, a conscious response. If Baba Vanga's prophecy of a blackout is indeed true, whether literal or symbolic, then the most important question is not what might happen, but how we prepare ourselves to meet it. We don't need to run from the future. We need to walk toward it with steadiness, compassion, and wisdom. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "Better than 1,000 victories in battle is one victory over yourself." The world outside may collapse, but if your inner world stays clear and grounded, you won't be swept away by fear. So, how can we prepare not just physically but mentally and spiritually? Here are 4 simple yet powerful practices anyone can begin today. Number 1. Practice mindfulness in daily life. In preparing the mind for 2025, one of the most essential practices we can embrace is mindfulness. Not as a lofty ideal, but as a lived experience woven into our everyday actions. The deepest kind of darkness is not the absence of light around us, but the absence of awareness within us. When we lose touch with who we truly are, beneath the roles, the labels, the noise of our responsibilities, we begin to drift. This is why even a few moments of mindful breathing every single day can act as a lifeline back to ourselves. The Buddha once said, "Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life." And mindfulness is the spark that keeps that flame alive. You don't need a meditation cushion or a mountain retreat. You only need a willingness to pause. Whether it's while washing dishes, taking a walk, or sitting in traffic, your breath is always there, silent, patient, and ready to guide you home. As the pace of modern life accelerates and uncertainty grows, especially in the face of global shifts, economic pressure, and the emotional fatigue many are quietly carrying, mindfulness becomes not just a spiritual practice, but a survival skill. We must not wait for life to shake us awake through loss, illness, or crisis before we learn to be present. If we only begin our inner work when the power goes out or the chaos becomes unbearable, we risk being swept away. Instead, we can learn to wake up in small moments throughout the day, choosing presence over distraction, simplicity over complication, and response over reaction. Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, the present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it. In this way, awareness becomes our anchor, helping us remain grounded even when the tides of life rise unpredictably. To live simply doesn't mean we abandon our goals or deny our responsibilities. It means we no longer allow them to define us or dominate our mental space. Simplicity begins when we clear the clutter of unnecessary thoughts, judgments, and anxieties, and instead meet each moment with clarity and calm. In the words of Lao Tzu, be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. This is the quiet power of mindfulness. It transforms ordinary experiences into sacred ones, reminding us that peace is not a place we arrive at, but a way we walk. When we return to our breath, we return to ourselves. When we return to ourselves, we return to life. So, as you prepare your mind for the year ahead, know that cultivating mindfulness is not a luxury. It's a responsibility to yourself and to those around you. The more we learn to meet each moment with gentle attention, the more we bring light to the world. Not the kind that blinds, but the kind that quietly reveals. Let your awareness be your steady companion in a world that is constantly shifting, and with each mindful breath may you remember that you are not separate from the peace you seek. After all, as the Dhammapada teaches us, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. And so, each moment of mindfulness is not just a return to the present, it is a conscious step toward creating a more awakened life. Number 2. Reconnect with community and nature. When everything around us starts to feel uncertain, when systems we've relied on begin to falter or collapse, it's natural to feel lost or overwhelmed. But in these moments, it's important to remember a deeper truth. The most essential networks in life aren't built by machines or managed by governments. They're formed through human connection and the natural world that has always held us. When the noise of modern life begins to fade, what remains are people, our families, our neighbors, our communities, and the earth beneath our feet. This is where real strength lives. So let me ask you, when was the last time you truly felt connected to the people around you? Or stepped outside and felt the soil, the wind, the sun? Not through a screen or a window, but with your whole presence. Rebuilding these connections doesn't require a grand plan. It starts with small, mindful steps. Greet your neighbor with sincerity. Reach out to a family member you haven't spoken to in a while, not just through a quick message, but in a way that invites real conversation. Listen without planning what to say next. Share what you have, even if it's just your time, your presence, or something as simple as a meal or a smile. When you begin to do this, you'll find something quietly beautiful happens. Your heart softens, your stress begins to ease, and a natural rhythm starts to return. In these moments of genuine connection, we touch something timeless. Nature too is waiting for our return, not in some poetic sense, but in a very real, grounding way. The earth doesn't ask us to be perfect, only to be present. Plant something, even if it's just a single seed in a pot. Watch how it grows, how it bends toward the light. That's not just gardening, that's remembering how to be patient, how to care, and how to grow ourselves. Walk in a park or sit under a tree and let your senses come alive again. The stillness of nature teaches us to slow down, to pay attention, to breathe. It reminds us that no matter how fast the world spins, we can always come back to a place of calm within ourselves. And here's the deeper wisdom. These relationships with people and with nature are not just a comfort. They are your resilience. They are the backup generators that will keep your spirit alive when everything else feels unstable. They offer a kind of wealth that can't be taken away because it lives in connection, in presence, in shared moments. In the words of an old teaching, a single thread of kindness can weave a blanket of strength. What kind of connections are you weaving right now? So as you prepare your mind for 2025, don't overlook the power of coming back to what is simple, human, and true. Reach out to others, not from a place of fear, but from a desire to be part of something larger than yourself. Relearn the language of the earth. In doing so, you'll not only create a life that feels more whole, but you'll become a source of stability for those around you. Lesson to carry forward. In times of change, your true security doesn't come from systems or savings. It comes from your relationships and your connection with the living world. Start small. Be present. Grow something. Give something. And in this quiet rebuilding, you will find more strength than you ever imagined. Number 3. Relearn essential earth-based skills. In this fast-moving digital world, many of us have lost touch with the simple, essential skills that our ancestors once relied on every single day. Skills that weren't taught in classrooms or coded into apps, but passed down through hands-on experience, family traditions, and a deep relationship with the earth. Let's be honest. When was the last time you made a fire without a lighter, or GPS'd your way out of a situation that your grandparents would have solved by reading the stars or noticing the wind? The truth is, technology has brought us incredible convenience, but in that convenience, we've also let go of a kind of wisdom that kept us resilient, humble, and deeply rooted. Now is the time to begin remembering, not just for survival in a time of crisis, but to return to a more balanced and connected way of life. Have you ever stopped to wonder what ancient knowledge lives in your own hands, just waiting to be reawakened? Start simple. Learn to cook a meal over an open flame, not as a camping trick, but as a way to appreciate the process of nourishment. Reconnect with the plants around you. Maybe even grow a few herbs or vegetables in your backyard or balcony. Learn how to collect and purify water without machines, or how to identify local plants that support health and healing. These aren't outdated hobbies, they are timeless acts of connection. When we grow our own food, we're not just feeding our bodies, we're nourishing patience, attention, and gratitude. When we tend to small injuries with natural remedies, we awaken the healer within. When we learn to navigate by observing nature, we also learn to trust our intuition, our inner compass. And in these small actions, we start to build a kind of peace that isn't shaken by external events. As the Buddha once said, as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame. What's more, Relearning these earth-based skills builds confidence, not arrogance, but grounded self-trust. You begin to know that you can care for yourself and others, even when things fall apart. You develop not just survival skills, but life skills. Ones that teach you how to live more simply, more attentively, and more in tune with the natural flow of life. Think about this. Are we truly free if we are completely dependent on fragile systems to meet our most basic needs? Or is there a deeper freedom waiting in the quiet knowing that we can take care of ourselves, our families and our communities with our own hands and hearts? The beauty of this path is that you don't have to do it all at once. Choose one skill that speaks to you and begin there. Light a fire, learn a plant, bake your own bread, learn the rhythm of the moon. Each small step is a return to the earth, to wisdom, and to a slower pace of living that brings clarity and strength. As Thich Nhat Hanh taught, when we walk on earth with mindfulness, we are refreshed and restored. These ancient practices are not just about preparation, they are about remembering who we are. So the lesson for today is this: real security comes from knowing how to live simply and wisely, not from owning more things. In 2025 and beyond, the most valuable skills may not be the ones listed on a resume, but the ones that connect you with the earth and with others in meaningful ways. Ask yourself now, what essential knowledge are you ready to remember? And who might you become in the process? Number 4. Cultivate compassion and share what you know. As we move into uncertain times, whether marked by global unrest, personal challenges, or the quiet exhaustion of information overload, the most precious offering we can make may not be the resources we've stockpiled, but the compassion we extend, the presence we embody, and the wisdom we're willing to share. In a world increasingly drawn towards speed, disconnection, and fear, it is the gentle power of human warmth that becomes revolutionary. When systems fail, or when our minds are overwhelmed by noise and confusion, what truly remains valuable is not what we possess, but who we choose to be. A calm word when tempers flare, a shared story that rekindles hope, a helping hand or a listening ear. These simple gestures often do more to restore peace than any complex solution ever could. As the Buddha once said, thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. This truth invites us to live in such a way that our own awareness becomes nourishment for others, especially during times of collective doubt or suffering. In preparing the mind for 2025, one of the deepest preparations is not the outer readiness of planning and strategy, but the inner cultivation of empathy and generosity. When we train ourselves to notice the needs of others, even in subtle ways, and respond with kindness rather than judgment, we transform not only the lives around us, but the shape of our own mind. Modern life often rewards individual success and independence, but true resilience is built in community and connection. When we live with compassion, we create safety for others to soften, to heal, and to grow. The Dalai Lama reminds us, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. We don't need to be spiritual masters or perfect in our speech or actions. Rather, we need to be willing to pause before reacting, willing to offer silence when words would harm, willing to give what we know to someone who is searching for clarity. These small daily efforts are the sacred groundwork for collective awakening. Just as a candle continues to burn, even as it lights others, your wisdom does not diminish when you offer it freely. In fact, it deepens. When you share what you've learned, whether through experience, books, or quiet reflection, you become a mirror that helps others see more clearly. This is not about preaching or correcting, but rather about meeting people where they are and saying, through presence alone, you are not alone. Especially as we face digital disconnection, rising anxiety, and global transitions, the need for conscious community becomes urgent. Preparing the mind for a new era isn't about having all the answers. It's about cultivating a spirit that is soft enough to adapt and strong enough to remain rooted in truth. As Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh wisely said, compassion is a verb. It asks us not just to feel, but to act, to reach out, to listen deeply, to stay steady when others tremble. So as we reflect on the possibility of societal blackouts, moments when the old ways stop working, let us remember that the greatest light we can offer may be a moment of understanding, a word of encouragement, or a lesson shared from the heart. Let this be our preparation, not only to survive what may come, but to help others walk through it with dignity. Even the smallest act of compassion can ripple outward, touching lives in ways we may never see. And when enough people live this way, consciously and kindly, even the darkest night becomes less frightening. After all, as the Dhammapada teaches, radiate boundless love toward the entire world. Let your life be the candle that lights the way forward. Not just for yourself, but for everyone walking beside you. As we reflect on Baba Vanga's 2025 Blackout Prophecy, let us remember, this isn't just about predicting the future. It's about preparing our minds, our hearts, and our communities to face uncertainty with clarity and compassion. Whether the darkness is external or internal, literal or symbolic, the real question is, how will we respond? Will we live in fear, or will we use this moment as an invitation to awaken, to reconnect with what truly matters, to slow down and to strengthen the light within? Thank you for joining us on the journey of wisdom. If today's message sparked something within you, help us keep these conversations alive by liking this video, sharing it with others, and subscribing to our channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming episodes as we continue exploring ancient wisdom for modern times. Until next time, walk gently, stay aware, and remember, even in the darkest hour, wisdom can be your light.